Getting some Michael Jackson. It is The Bad Tour, his greatest tour. Why is it his greatest tour?
World Tour was the first solo concert tour by American singer Michael Jackson, launched in support of his seventh studio album Bad. Sponsored by Pepsi and spanning 16 months, the tour included 123 concerts for over 4 million fans across 15 countries.
Wow.
It grossed a total of $150 million, making it one of the highest-grossing tour of the 1980s.
Wow.
Jackson made a public statement at the end of the tour that he intended for it to be his last as a touring artist.
I had to ask him one more time. Aren't you going to miss this kind of thing, that energy? The audience is going crazy out there. How are you going to stay away from it?
I don't know, it is my last one.
Are you really never going to do another one?
No.
As he had plans to transition to movie making, but instead it was his last tour in the US. But why?
Wow.
On June 29, 1987...
Wait, okay, I've got to pause it. So, this was his last tour. In America, sorry. So, that's quite an interesting... like a fact here that I actually didn't know. So he didn't plan on making any more. He wanted to go into like movies and stuff, like Moonwalker.
Jackson's manager Frank DeLeo announced the singer's plan to embark on his first solo world concert tour. Sponsored by Pepsi, the tour began in large stadiums in Japan, marking Jackson's first performances in the country since 1973 as part of the Jackson 5.
Amazing.
The 1984 Victory Tour saw MJ take on a more confident, captivating stage presence. He seemed more in control of his element, more confident. The Bad Tour was Jackson's prime of performance. His vocals and dancing never seemed to outshine one another, but instead mesh for a mesmerizing and unbelievable spectacle. Even under medical advice that the exertions night in and night out could do permanent damage to his voice, Jackson's perfectionism again proves a blessing and a curse.
So,
with an unceasing desire...
So that's shocking to me that, he pushed himself that hard, right, that people have actually took notice of that.
To bring the same quality and energy from show to show, and city to city, Jackson leaves it all on the stage each night of the Bad Tour. By late in the tour, one can see the toll it took on the artist. Keys are lowered, songs like Dirty Diana are removed from the setlist, and by Los Angeles, Jackson is forced to rest his vocals completely due to swelling. He is also forced to lip-sync the beginning of certain numbers, turning his mic on at the end of the song to catch his breath and also rest his throat, though he likely continues singing under the backtrack.
To do a show of this magnitude and of this energy is, for lack of a better term, one of the most difficult things in the world. When you're a front person like Mike, who doesn't have a change of gears. Everything is just
high gear,
high speed, or nothing.
He really is. Yeah.
One thing that we did was, if in fact he was what I would call gassed, which is just tired. I mean, he would hold up a finger, and that meant we needed to switch, to the other voice.
Yeah.
And that would happen until he truly had his breath. And, from dancing with the guys and everything else, okay, I'm ready. I can go back and do it. He put up his hand, and that goes back to him live.
This can be seen during a performance of The Way You...
Yes. Now, people have mentioned this in the comments before he tells me. People have mentioned this because that you can actually point it out when he wants to start singing again. He puts up a finger.
Make Me Feel at Wembley, June 15, 1988. Jackson briefly drops the backtrack to sing the line.
See?
And asks the crowd to sing along. The true damage is not felt by Jackson until the Dangerous album sessions, When he is unable to complete his song, Keep the Faith, in the key it was originally intended and realizes the range he possessed in the 80s is not as strong.
Okay.
This is partially due to the poor sequencing of dates during the Bad tour. More often than not, Jackson would perform on 3 back-to-back nights. Though he often had a few days of rest before the next performances, Jackson was likely not getting proper rest due to this. After straining his vocals after the first...
I covered this a little bit in the last video. I sort of heard a bit about this. It was like there was times when he'd take 2 weeks rehearsal, a month rehearsal, and then he would do 2 or 3 nights in a row, right? Like in a concert, right? That has got to be tough. I mean, even what I do, just talking to you guys right now, really puts a toll on my voice, because sometimes like I talk for half an hour, which is easy, but sometimes I can talk for like upwards of 3 hours at a time, and even my throat hurts. So I can't imagine what it'd be like singing for that length of time for, you know, each and every night pretty much. It's impressive that he lasted as long as he did, that many years since he was a kid.
First stop in November 1988 in Los Angeles, Jackson is afforded almost a full month of rest. By the time he stops in Tokyo in December for 9 shows, amateur audios reveal just how well the proper rest benefited him, as his voice is more powerful and he seems to have rebuilt his energy reserves. Another 3 weeks of rest, from December 27, 1988 to January 16, 1989, allows Jackson to finish the tour in Los Angeles with just as much ferociousness as the beginning of the tour in September 1987. Later in life, Jackson testified that performing on this level was very hard on his body and that he could no longer sustain such excellence. It's important to remember that the Bad Tour was Jackson's first tour as a solo artist, but that the artist had been performing across the world since he was in grade school. By now, the star is 29 to 30 years old and had been touring and excelling as a live performer for over 20 years, an important detail sometimes forgotten in the shade of Jackson's own shadow. By the Bad Tour, however, Jackson was in complete control of his career. Collaborators of the Bad Tour all consistently recall how Jackson structured and scrutinized every detail of the show.
I went over this. This guy is a perfectionist, because I've seen him do it in the last video. It's like the rehearsals, right? He says the bounce is the bass is too bouncy. He goes, yeah, you're standing in the wrong place, or can you do this? Can you do that? He's like a super perfectionist. If he's not happy, he will tell you he's not happy, you know.
To choreography, special effects, stage, lights, and even the band segment.
Amazing.
It's the first time Jackson's complete creative vision comes to light on his own terms, and that only makes the tour all the more special.
I knew this.
The Bad Tour set a standard of entertainment that has not yet been outdone. Naturally, production technology has sailed to new heights, complementing entertainers in ways never seen before. Jackson was ahead of his time on a productive level, though by now what was innovative in 1988 looks amateur-ish to a casual viewer. But it was the Bad Tour that makes people look back and remember that Michael Jackson was and is the greatest entertainer. It's the magic that only he could bring to a stage, never before or after reproduced with such prowess. Not yet has a performer been able to out-sing, out-dance, out-hit, and out-produce all in one the way Michael Jackson did for 123 shows.
Absolutely agree.
Michael Jackson was a legend long before Bad, and even before Thriller. For any other performer, a Bad Tour would be where their legends were made. For Michael Jackson, the Bad Tour solidified an already indestructible legacy and created a standard entertainers today endlessly strive for.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, it got that was actually a really cool, informative video, actually. Fair play. Wow. That was very, very well put together. Don't go too much on like the whole text-to-speech voice he's got been going on, but other than that, very, very well put together and very informative, as I said. There was a lot in there that I didn't know, and it's great to be able to hear it. 120 odd shows over a 2-year span. That is a lot. Think about how much like that must have took a toll on him. And as he was saying, it's like he'd go that long trying to sing, and that's why he had to lip sync some of it. It makes sense. You cannot keep that intensity going every single night. It's just not possible. It's like he's still a human being at the end of the day, and a lot of people don't, you know, they sort of make fun of him because, oh yeah, he's using lip sync and whatever, he's cheating. But it isn't like that. It's like you have to look past that and you have to see that he is human. The Bad Tour, the concert, is the best. There's no doubt. I haven't watched anything better than that. And I don't know how he's going to top that if he ever did. Wow. Learn something every day.